He's an entrepreneur and musician. His self-titled solo, Michael, was recently released, up for 3 Grammys Sunday. Killer Mike is with us, Mike Render. And he's the Republican governor of New Hampshire, Governor Chris Sununu, and she's the host of The Five on Fox News, Jessica Tarlov. That's our panel that we just had. So would you like to comment on my editorial that I just did about how there's a lot of materialism in music these days, and maybe it's not great for the kids?
I think there's materialism in American society, period. We're just, musicians and artists a lot of times, in terms of when art becomes commerce, it's just a reflection of where society is. When you were talking about, you know, it used to be a lot of bitches and hoes and homophobia in there. Bitches, hoes, and homosexuals buy music. And at a certain point, the people who make music was like, it's not cool to keep saying this shit because they got better buying power than just the guys who are mad at home. And what you see now is the people on top of the charts are the Kendrick Lamars, the Drakes, the J. Coles, because society, what was it? Huey said, it's not the vanguard that moves the people, it's not the leadership, it's when the people are ready to move. So I think that, when I have arguments with Anaya, my 26-year-old daughter, I know that there's a change coming because of the way she views the world. So I think musicians and artists for commerce are going to adjust. But when it comes to money, we have an infatuation with money in this country. You know, so much to the point we went and kidnapped a bunch of people 400 years ago, made them work for free and said, boom, greatest nation in the world. So, you know, happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month.
It's like a relationship fight. You never let it go.
No, you can't. I'll tell you this. Speaking of money, you want to let it go. Prepare a reparations package for Black people in this country. For people, and I'll tell you this. The leader of the Fed said something.
Didn't I buy dinner last time?
Yeah, you did. You did. Yeah, and the restaurant.
That does not count.
You did. You offered to marry my wife if I died early.
Absolutely.
Too, so. But I do think this country could benefit from a reparations package that included cash, that included reversal of redlining by helping Black people be homeowners, understand credit, and understand Americans that if the Black community has more money, this country has more money. Yeah, and we need to start seeing ourselves in a relationship.
Right. As long as we have the topic on the table, what do you think about that? Reparations.
Vivek Ramaswamy just texted me his Taylor Swift playlist. I haven't been paying attention, so I'll pass.
Wait, you're dodging this question?
I'll dodge out. Really? In terms of what, reparations?
Reparations. Sending out a check.
Someone's got to pay. No, I'm not for reparations. I'm not for that at all. At the end of the day, this country owes $34 trillion, and the government doesn't owe that money. You all owe that money.
And also,
don't be fooled. The money's got to come from somewhere.
There's a difference between collective guilt and individual guilt.
Why don't you feel guilty? No,
I don't.
Yeah, and
because I didn't do it.
I think more Black conservatives, but you benefited from it. You benefited from it, and you still benefit from it.
Yes, that's true too.
So my thing is just help spread the benefits.
But you know, there are reparations that do go on in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't say absolutely just give me a few $1 million and I'm fine. No, I think that trade and higher level education. I do think a cash payout. I think that there should be a mortgage forgiveness. I think that we should have an incentive to incentivize Black wealth in this country. Robert Smith, Black billionaire, had an interesting conversation where he wanted to tax corporations 2% of wealth. Imagine what 2% of multi-billion-dollar companies does for Black society. What it does is it creates a place where it's not perfect, but Atlanta Black people have opportunity. And if you talk to Governor Brian Kemp in Georgia, we also have a Republican governor who I have a relationship with. For the last 10 years, we've been #1 in business. We've created over 60,000 jobs and have more jobs coming. I would challenge you to help put together a reparations package that made the rest of America look more like the opportunity.
Well, he's from New Hampshire. That's not going to happen.
But if I may, Lord knows I didn't want to get into a reparations discussion.
It would cost you hundreds of dollars up there.
And then you got again, what about the Native Americans who are, you know, you got to go down the list. And when we're done with the reparations package this year, what about
you don't hear Black people arguing against reparations for anyone. We've never argued against reservations. We've never argued against any payouts for people in America is wrong. We're simply saying, while we're at the table, let's do something to aid the people that until 60 years ago lived in apartheid.
Okay, but like
60 years is not very long.
With Native Americans, we gave them the casino industry.
Yeah.
What about, supermarkets?
Could black people have the marijuana industry?
Well, I'm something like that.
Look at his fucking face. Would you give us, like, that's what I'm saying. Give us marijuana, multi-billion-dollar industry. It's still fresh. It's still growing. Why doesn't Killer Mike have a marijuana license in Georgia?
I'm out of the business.
Will you call Brian Kemp for me?
I'll call Brian right now. I don't know how the discussion's going to go. Brian's a great friend, but...
If you're going to buy marijuana, I would suggest you do it at the Woods, which is the great pot shop here in L.A., which I'm a part owner of with Woody Harrelson. Okay, what do you think of the news that NASA says the moon is shrinking? Fucking Biden. Right? Am I right?
Thank you. Finally.
Yeah.
Finally, someone's talking some sense.
Was perfectly fine under Trump. And now...
I was excited that I didn't have to do the reparations question and then got the moon question, which could be more complicated. Doesn't that go in your headlines that shouldn't exist bucket?
It really should. I mean, but apparently, I read this too in USA Today. Apparently, the moon, because the core is cooling or something.
It's our fault.
I'm sorry, why does it matter?
It doesn't.
Okay.
I know, but it's funny because you really could do a whole sketch about that because we are so blame happy in this country. Somebody has to take. I think the moon's on Ozempic, and that's the whole thing. All right. What do you think about... conservatives in Texas are talking about Texas, well, this happens like every 2 years. This is Texas seceding. Oh. They love to talk about it. Because it started out as its own country, right? For a while, Texas was its own country.
We just had a bill in New Hampshire. We get it almost every 2 years. Someone wants to...
But Nikki Haley, your girl, said she doesn't think that's illegal. Come on, she doesn't know why the Civil War happened, and she doesn't get that secession is illegal?
Yeah, look, I'm not advocating for anyone to see. I don't think Nikki's advocating for any of that.
No, but she said she didn't think it was illegal, and it is illegal. You can't secede from the Union. That's like number one. Yeah, like we're the United States.
I think everybody understands that's where we need to be, and that's what we need to fight for.
But Nikki Haley needs a bit of a history lesson. I mean,
that's broader than the secession issue.
Yeah. What?
I mean, that's broader than the secession issue if we go back to the whole slavery.
I know, I'm saying. She seems to have skipped grades. I don't know. Some of them.
Look, you want to end this Trump conversation once and for all? You all get behind Nikki Haley, because that's how you do it. You beat Trump in the ballot box. I mean, that's it. Look, politics is not a spectator sport, people. You got to get involved. You got to vote. You got to participate.
They could vote for Joe Biden, though. That's available.
But according to the polls, they won't.
That's not true.
Nikki Haley beats Biden by 10, 15 points. According to the polls, they're not going to vote for Biden against Trump.
Everybody stop yelling.
But the moon is shrinking, Bill.
The moon is shrinking. I'm shrinking now. Okay, Jessica, how damaging could a potential no labels presidential ticket be for Joe Biden? So this is an official third party now, no labels. Who is this?
A bunch of grifters.
Joe Manchin. It says, what do you make of rumors Joe Manchin will be their candidate? Oh, exciting.
Well, I'll start by saying the no labels folks are grifters, and everyone should know that they're just trying to...
Grifters?
Grifters.
Right.
Yes.
You don't think they're sincere?
I think they're sincere like 40 minutes a day, and then I think the rest of it is just an attempt to get people who feel disenfranchised, like they're looking around and they're like, they're two 80-year-old guys, I don't like either of them.
Right.
Give me more money, give me more money.
Right.
And they don't really care what the outcome is, and they justify it by saying, well, it's gonna suck either way.
Wow.
But apparently, the top polling no labels ticket is Nikki Haley as president and Joe Manchin as VP. I happen to think, and Joe Manchin is not my favorite Democrat, though he voted with us all the time, and I'm thankful for having someone in West Virginia. I don't think he would do something like that because it would just destroy an entire legacy that he's had. But they do take more support from Trump than they do from Biden. It's the same with like RFK Jr. If he were able to get on more than half a ballot or something like that.
Okay, Elon Musk announced his company Neuralink. Oh, this is a pretty big story. Successfully implanted the first microchip in a human's brain. Is this a good thing? Yes, I think it is, because, I mean, this is, if you haven't read the story, the ability to actually do things just by thinking about it for people who don't have the use of their limbs. And this is, you know, like I can't stop liking Elon. He's a weird guy. He is.
Yeah.
And he does sometimes make it hard to defend him. Absolutely, I get that. But this is the promise of a guy like this. I mean, who else is doing this? I can't even imagine how this is done. Like I couldn't tell you how electricity happens, but I probably could find out.
It's a short Wikipedia.
But like,
yeah.
how do you get it so like just by thinking about it, you change the channel? Don't. But that's pretty amazing. And I think it's gonna, you know, there's lots of people who could benefit from this.
Totally. I'm sure it'll be used for evil at some point, but for now, it's wonderful to give people
Anybody
the
Like
chance.
all things are married.
Yeah.
Yes.
What?
You eventually use it for evil. That's what
Goes back to your
Or
money.
sex.
You gotta. Yep.
Sex is usually the first thing they'll find a way for a guy to jerk off, but just by. A recent study found a growing political divide between men and women, with younger women skewing much more liberal than men. This is not new, but I think it's just more prevalent. I think the number I saw was 30 points. That is a huge.
And that's the abortion issue, right?
That's a lot of.
As Republicans, we're losing young people, we're losing suburban moms, we're losing women, strictly on the abortion issue, and that's just terrible for the party.
I think it's abortion, it's guns, it's climate change, it's social justice.
And Trump.
at large.
And the pussy grabber,
It's Trump,
who's
yes.
like who.
And now owing 83
I'm
million
not with
for it.
Trump. I don't
No,
know why
I know.
you guys keep looking
I know.
at me.
I know.
think
I
you're
know.
only
But
24.
I know. But what's interesting, what you two have in common is that you both can't say, yeah, and of course, so I'm voting for Biden. That you both can't do that.
I'll challenge you.
I just find that interesting.
He can't say, she can't say, you can't say, Biden can't say, and most white people won't say, I'll sit down and talk about black people, about real black issues from a place where I know I'm going to leave the table.
Different issue. I'm
talking about fucking racial.
I know you are.
Like, we don't want to talk about that. But when you say me and him are the same, we're the same. Besides that, we want to do it. Like, how has Biden or Trump been good for my community?
That's
and I'm not saying they're the same.
At least you're.
But you got to meet me at my table, not just go have lunch with a black kid and think everything's okay.
At least you're engaging with the question now.
Yeah.
Right. I get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Have neighborhoods really changed? I mean, I forget who I.
In the last 3 years, worse. I mean, it's tougher.
Well,
Neighborhoods and what's going on with crime, with public safety, with all of this, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And both parties are to blame. Let's not make any.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if
that.
you live in a neighborhood and you see administrations change and nothing else changes. That I totally get that. Why you would go, what's the difference which white guy is president? Doesn't make any difference. And a lot of people weren't crazy about Obama. Didn't think he was the radical change. They projected that on him. He would never said
I think Americans are comfortably uncomfortable. I think that this country could be radically better if we said we're going to do something radical and hold politicians' feet to the fire on politics. And we're not. We're just simply not doing it. And at some point, we're going to have to get off TV arguing for entertainment, and we're going to have to retreat to our living rooms, our after-church synagogues or mosque functions, and we're going to have real discussions where we disagree and agree, and we find out what are the 10 things that are best on a hyper-local level.
What could be realer than this discussion?
Yeah. If I could, let me tell you.
Don't be telling people to get off TV.
I want people to watch TV, but I want people to get with people who they don't look like.
Not TV, this TV.
Well, this TV. I like your show. I don't watch most of you guys' shows. Shut up. Amateur rappers aren't rapping about it yet. But I do want to say that the discussions that are had here, take to your living rooms with your family members you hadn't talked to because they voted for the other guy, and have the discussion.
Yes,
and find things you agree with. Right. And on a hyper-local level, what's more important to Americans should be who's my city council person, who's my mayor, and who's my governor.
School board.
And school board. Yeah. If you do that, I guarantee you'll start to create local change that then from the top down, they'll say, we need to emulate that. And I'll give you a perfect example is a Democratic judge named Asha Jackson, Chief Judge Asha Jackson in Georgia, creates the Pinnacle program that gives people an opportunity not to fall prey to recidivism and go back to jail. You get 1 year to clean your shit up, then you graduate, you go on, you don't have to go to prison. Ms. Ali is a woman out of Fulton County Juvenile Court that was appointed by a Republican governor to emulate that same thing statewide. So 2 Democratic black women do something on a local level that on a state level, a white Republican governor recognizes, and then empowers to do the same thing statewide. That's what we need to be seeing hyper-local instead of arguing about the soap opera of the president.
All right. We'll see you when you have those 3 Grammys in your hand.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We got to go.